And it looks like we are just packing up from game 1. Saw an Ugin with some loyalty on it, so I'm going to guess that a 1's going to about to appear next to Andrew Walter's name here.
That would make sense to me.
Ugin is a powerful dragon. And there we go.
In general, I'd also say that the games that Spirits wins in this matchup tend to be the quicker ones.
Yeah, that's certainly true. So we're going to get to see some sideboard games. Catlight down 1-0, but you mentioned in her sideboard some options. So she has 2 Detention Sphere, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Damping Sphere, 3 Stony Silence, 2 Thalia, the 2-mana Thalia, and then Geist of St. Traft. A lot of things that I actually like in this matchup I think are available to her.
Yeah, the Disdainful Strokes are good for pushing Andrew off of any of his big payoff cards. The Geist of St. Traft, just any matchup where you want to go fast, that card is really going to be your best option to be the aggressor. On the play, certainly, that can be a big deal. And then stuff like Damping Sphere, and to a lesser extent, Thalia Gardener Thraben, can also push the Tron players a little bit further off of being able to cast their Haymakers on time.
Yeah, so I like that, the Damping Sphere. So we have arguments for Stony Silence. Disdainful Stroke seems like it's in.
Yeah.
We have arguments for Damping Sphere, Stony Silence, Thalia, and Geist of St. Traft.
I think in the mix, Thalia is the weakest option.
Okay. So if you go with the other ones, that's still 9 slots. Is that too many, or are we good to, or is boarding 9 here okay?
So there's 4 Path to Exiles in the main deck. You maybe want to maintain 1 or 2 copies because of Wormcoil Engine, though for the most part, your threats are all flying. I think you can try to avoid that. And if you're bringing in Stony Silence, it makes enough sense to board out these 3 Ether Vials. So there's quite a lot of cards that I'm looking at boarding out.
Okay.
And you can kind of shave maybe stuff like Rail Chains or some of your 3-mana spells. That can all be fine. This is not a matchup where I suppose you just need to maintain enough of your 1 and 2 mana creatures, so I wouldn't necessarily be interested in shaving any of that. So for the most part, it's going to be those Vials and Paths. I could also make a push to trim some of the collected companies just because of how much they cost, but mostly, looking at those Vials and Path to Exiles. Over on Andrew Walter's side, his sideboard's 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Thragtusk, 3 Thought-Knot Seer, 2 Spatial Contortion, an Emrakul, the Promised End, a Graft Digger's Cage, and a Crucible of Worlds. The big hits are going to be those 2 Spatial Contortions.
Yeah, I love that here.
It's an argument for lowering the curve and bringing in stuff like Thragtusk in a matchup like this. That stuff's all fine. Graft Digger's Cage against a Collected Company deck is okay. It's a deck like Bant Spirits.
Yeah,
it's not the best.
It's hard. So I used to like Graft Digger's Cage a lot against Company when the main Company deck was Abzan Company because it really hit all the text on the card. Now when we keep seeing stuff like Bant Spirits, like Elves, I want to board it in, but I just don't know if I can justify it anymore.
Right. Yeah, when decks played Collected Company and Court of Calling, and you got to hit 8 cards with it.
Well, and they had Kitchen Finks, just all these things.
You're right. But yeah, with the Spirits deck just kind of does enough. And this is not a matchup where Cat's going to be like, 3 Collected Companies, keep.
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, he's not actually playing Jund. It's just got to stop the faster stuff.
Yep.
So coming up, we've been talking about Guilds of Ravnica. We talked about some cards. We'll keep talking about some cards. Pre-release is in 2 weeks. If you want to get one of these playmats here from Star City Games, around the country, we have this exclusive playmat going to be given out at pre-releases. The registration is passed for it, but if you don't want to get this one, it's Meals on Steel. Find a store near you that is participating. StarCityGames.com/pre-release.
It's a nice mix of animals. Great biodiversity.
They're all hanging out. They're being friends.
Particularly enjoy the hippo.
I wouldn't want to be up that high on a steel beam with a hippo. I'm concerned of my safety now.
You could have stopped that sentence at beam. I wouldn't want to be up that high on a steel beam. End of line.
Sure. So, players start off here for game number 2. I always get worried when my Tron opponent, their first play is Tron piece, no plays, go. Because if they've kept, they
definitely have turn 3 Tron.
Just already, if it's Tron piece map, But this means, oh, it's just already in your hand, isn't it? You just have them.
Yeah, the Tron piece Go is generally going to be indicative of natural Tron and Karn.
Of course. Well, why would you not have Karn?
That's what makes that hand keepable.
I guess if you have 2 Tron pieces, a Forest and a Sylvan Scrying, you'll probably keep it and then hope to draw, and you lead it out this way.
On 7, I think that hand is pretty worth mulliganing. I've talked to a lot of Tron players. Really what gives the deck staying power is the ability to mulligan hands like that and still produce the turn 3 Tron back-breaking hands. When you're only set up to have turn 4 Tron...
Sorry. Okay, she plays Thalia and passes. Andrew did not have Tron, but he sure drew it that turn.
That was smart. That's a good
just
strategy.
draws tower. LOL. He had Spatial Contortion in hand, so Thalia actually was a pretty good lead out for Cat.
Spatial Contortion does make the not turn 3 Tron hand a little bit better because you do have some disruption and maybe you draw into it.
Yeah. As it is, just plays a second Tron piece, says go. Third one's coming. He'll go to 18.
Yeah, there was no Noble Hierarch. There's no Mausoleum Wanderer in turn 1 for Cat, so not too much pressure being applied just yet. You'd want to see some kind of powerful sideboard card.
Well, the hard thing about natural Tron is there's no defense, right? So Cat has Stony Silence in hand.
Turn 3 Tron,
like
checking that square.
All the things that can try to slow them down, if they just have it, none of them matter.
Right.
Andrew leads off by using Spatial Contortion on the Thalia. Cat could cast the Spell Queller, and we'll see if she does.
Not a ton else that you're trying to quell in the matchup. And kind of the biggest find for it is Oblivion Stone, but if you're saving a creature with the Spell Queller, then the stone ability resolving is kind of whatever.
Yeah, and Andrew does have the Oblivion Stone.
It's not like things get better against Oblivion Stone.
Well, she does sense the Oblivion Stone, and it looks like she'll get it. So now he casts Stone, and now Cat will go for the Spell Queller.
This is a pretty aggressive play by a Walter. Given
right.
the pause by Cat, pretending that removal spell, casting the Stone here, it would suggest that there's at least some other kind of backbreaking payoff on the following turn.
I agree. What I would want to see then from Andrew is just passing. Because if the board is empty, you're playing Tron. This is great. You don't need to play cards. You'll just eventually draw, something ridiculous.
Also, once Tron is online, especially in a matchup where you're not expecting to get Stone Rained in really any capacity, you can just cast and crack Stone on the same turn.
Right. Back over to Cat we go. She chose to Spell Quell away the Oblivion Stone despite a Stony Silence in her hand.
There's just not that much else you can quell.
Sure.
Tron's already online. I mean, Ancient Stirrings is probably the best card to tag at this point in time. Yeah. Sylvan Scrying, one of very few other targets.
Cat attacks for 2, Andrew to 16. She's got Selfless Spirit in hand, which is going to be her play. Looks like there is a Collected Company, but she missed land 4 there. So she'll make the 2-1. And then just pass, see what kind of follow-up Andrew has. At least one Nature's Claim looks like it's been drawn.
It'll insulate against things like that Stony Silent down the line.
Right. Forced into Ancient Stirrings for Andrew Walter. There's Karn. There's Oblivion Stone. And he'll take Karn. Go figure.
Didn't come here to not cast Karns.
No, he had 7 mana up. Might as well Karn. Now I'm interested, Ryan, where he goes with this, whether plussing or minusing. Could see arguments for both.
Yeah, given the small amount of pressure on the other side, this line here with the minusing means a Noble Hierarch for Cat would allow the Selfless Spirit to come across and take the Karn down. There is just Oblivion Stone back online for Walter, though.
Yeah, and that's pretty nice. That's what he'll go for. Yeah, takes care of that Spell Queller.
Plussing Karn and untapping with it just feels so good, though.
I do like that, yeah.
10 loyalty. That's just an impossibly high number.
True. Mausoleum Wanderer and Supreme Phantom. And because the Karn was minus, that means Selfless Spirit will attack for 3 and take out the Planeswalker.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is enough stuff where Andrew will want to crack the stone, but the Selfless Spirit does protect against that.
Yeah, this is not ideal, actually. Cat still has some game.
And Walter's hand, I know there's been a Sylvan Scrying hanging out in there. It's like Scavenger Grounds, that Nature's Claim that we've been talking about. I think it's mostly or maybe all air.
Yeah, I think we have a pair of Scryings, a pair of Nature's Claim, and that Scavenger Ground.
Ugh.
So there's the Scavenger Ground. Here's Sylvan Scrying. Doesn't really need more mana. I assume we're finding either a Forest or a Sanctum of Ugin.
I think Sanctum of Ugin is probably the big one.
And that'll be the find.
Yeah, it's not clear that just one Haymaker would be enough in this situation. 2 would be quite a bit better. Especially because it's a sideboard game and you can expect things like those sideboard disdainful strokes. Sanctum makes you quite a bit better against that kind of stuff. And I imagine what we're going to see here is Cat just shoving until this stone gets popped.
Yeah.
You do want to be wary of Andrew doing something like casting Dismember on the Selfless Spirit, responding to you sacrificing by cracking the Oblivion Stone.
Well, she has a decent hand here. So to remove the 4th land, she has Stony Silence, Rattle Chains, Collected Company. So that actually protects her from a lot of things. If there's a sweeper, she can reload with Collected Company. If there's a removal spell, she can Rattle Chains. And here will be an attack, looks like for 6. Andrew will crack Oblivion Stone. Cat will sacrifice Selfless Spirit. So now the attack's just for 3. Andrew's to 13. She does have to keep a mind on, however, to get this damage in. And Andrew's always just 1 Ulamog off the top from crushing. It looks like he's drawn Wormcoil Engine.
That is a solid pickup from 13 life.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, we have Wormcoil Engine, 2 Nature's Claims, and that actually is pretty decent. You can target his own Wormcoil Engine in a pinch. Now, Wormcoil Engine does not trigger Sanctum of Ugin, but he will get that 6/6.
And Cat has left up the mana for that Collected Company, so she can make a good amount more power on the battlefield here with some good hits. Though Andrew will start to gain some life on his crackback. Let's see. What happens if there's 2 Lords here? Then they would all be pumped twice, and the Rattle Chains pumped 3 times. You'd have 7, 10, 30. Yeah, there are potentially lethal Collected Companies, right?
Yep. If I'm counting it the same way, yeah, I think she is alive to untap and win here. So let's look at the top 6. Yeah, Double Lord could do it. And there is a Supreme Phantom and a Phantasmal Image. I think we'll do the math, but she may have found one.
I think she might have needed Drog Skull Captain.
Just the extra 1 power.
But it's even with the Mausoleum Wanderer, if it's a little bit short, there's at least Rattle Chains and there's some draw steps that could make it enough. So you have 3 Phantoms, they would all be 3s, and then you have the 4 on the Wanderer. So
okay.
yeah, that
that's
does
just
it,
13.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. And that's what she'll do, Phantasmal Image, Supreme Phantom. So yeah, all 3 of the Supreme Phantoms are 3/5s, and the Wanderer is a 4/4, so that is an attack for 13. Now, Andrew can Nature's Claim his own Wormcoil Engine.
That would keep him in the game. You would need probably a reasonably big draw from that point, though.
Absolutely.
Something like Ugin, another Oblivion Stone.
And you cannot Rattle Chains to give your opponent's cards hexproof. You can't, like, blow this out at all.
Yeah, Wormcoil Engine is not a spirit.
Nor do you control it or anything. She could counter the Nature's Claim with the Wanderer, but that also doesn't really accomplish anything. So she just lets that happen. Andrew will go to 17. This attack will then drop him to 4. And we're looking at Ugin would work here, Ryan. Are we looking at much of anything else?
You're kind of looking at Oblivion Stone. It depends if Cat plays the Stony Silence or not. I would pretty strongly expect her to on this battlefield. You're probably already in bad enough shape against Dugan.
Yeah, she does have 2 rattle chains now. So with Andrew at 4, she may try to just hold up double rattle chains. And never mind, you're right. It will be Stony Silence. She'll pass.
Yeah, with double rattle chains, you're going to get hit by the lifelink worm anyway, right? So
yeah,
it's not actually lethal.
Ugin does it for Andrew. He draws Chromatic Star, so no Ugin, but he gets a redraw.
Well, Stony Silence means he doesn't get a redraw. He can Nature's Claim his own star,
there we
and
go.
Then he gets to redraw.
There we go. If we're still live. All right, 1 mana floating. He can't crack it, but he can Nature's Claim it. Oh, does he see that he can Nature's Claim it? He will attack for 6. Cat will go to 9, Andrew up to 7.
He could try to just Nature's Claim the Stony and then redraw because does he have enough mana?
He's going to claim the star.
I guess he doesn't have enough mana left over to Oblivion Stone from that spot.
He doesn't have enough mana to Ugin anymore. He burned that extra mana. Finds Thrag Tusk. He does not have double green.
And this attack is just going to be lethal from here.
You know, if he'd claimed the Stony Silence, he'd have another green mana.
That is true. But he would not have gained the 4 life initially.
Right, so then he as long as he gains 1 extra. He's
dead
both ways, isn't he?
There's some fancy stuff, but it's a no-win scenario.
Agreed. So Cat Light evens things up at 1 game apiece. Andrew has the turn 3 natural Tron, but not able to get that one. Shows some strength on the Bant Spirit side.
The hand was a little bit light on things to do with the Tron.
Yeah.
And given that he naturally drew the Tron and still struggled a little bit, that hand might have been a mulligan.
I didn't like 2 Nature's Claims.
Right.
That felt over sideboarded. And certainly, like, Tron plus a bunch of Sylvan Scryings is a hand that can lose. Maybe he had to try to protect the Karn more heavily. It's unclear.
Yeah, plussing the Karn could have been a different game.
But we'll be going to a 3rd game between the two. 20 minutes remaining in the round. Here between Tron and Bant Spirits. Over StarCityGames.com, our Star City Games newsletter goes out each week. You can subscribe for that one for free over on the website, StarCityGames.com/newsletter. It gives you highlights of our best articles from the week. Can tell you when the SCG Tour is coming to a town near you. We actually have added Possibility Storm. That's a group of people who do magic puzzles every week, and so much more. And the best part is that's free. Just go out on the website and sign up.
Yeah, the Possibility Storm is pretty cool. It's kind of something that's been on and off a feature of various Magic publications, that kind of Magic the puzzling kind of thing. A lot of players go for that. And this is kind of the spot that I hate being against when I'm playing against Tron.
Being on the draw?
Being on the draw in Game 3.
Well, they're going to have Tron.
Right. And I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe some dissatisfaction with the hand. It's when they snap keep 7 on the play in Game 3.
You see that face, and they're still looking like, go keep? And you're like, oh, cool.
I would never in my life consider mulliganing this hand. It's like that kind of expression. A little bit of fresh air for Cat Light as we do see Andrew Walter going to 6.
You only need 4 cards to make turn 3 Karn, though.
That's true. The creature-heavy matchups tend to be a little bit punishing against specifically Karn.
That's true. You technically can turn 3 Karn someone on a 3-card hand.
Yes.
Actually. But right.
You draw a card every turn.
Right. So you turn 3, play your last Tron piece. Or, yeah. And then you just hope that you've drawn Karn. No, you have to have a 4-card hand, don't you?
To turn 3 Karn?
Yeah. No, we can do it.
It takes 4 total cards.
guess-
you can turn
we can
3
keep the turn
Karn
on a
on the
one-card hand?
draw with a 2-card hand, right?
On the play you can do it with a 2-card hand.
Oh, yeah, play with a 2-card hand. Yep.
On the draw,
with the
1-card hand. Yeah.
That's math.
He's got to.
We did it.
You just draw the Tron piece each turn.
It's too easy, frankly.
If you keep Urza's power plant and nothing else on the draw, you could turn 3 Karnum.
I've actually completely shifted my emotional read on the situation where, when your opponent mulligans to 4 in a game that you really care about, and you're like, all right, this might be an easy one. They're down a lot of cards. But I've fully come around against Tron where they mulligan to 4, and my exact response is, great, now I get to lose to a 4-card hand.
Sure. I generally don't play decks that... I generally have play decks that are decent against Tron. But the times I have played fair decks, yeah, this matchup stinks.
The decks that I've played more recently have had quite positive Tron matchups. Historically, that has not been the case.
Okay, no, actually, I'll correct myself. I played Lantern at a tournament somewhat recently, and I played this matchup, and they mulled to 5, and boy, it did not matter. I just got annihilated.
It's a hard one for the Lantern deck.
Yeah, it's... whew. You have to mill every card. See, like this. Tron piece, draws second Tron piece, says go.
Is that the tower mine?
Yeah, that's the mine. Yeah, they're not both towers, even though they both are towers.
Right. There's a fake tower.
It's not as well constructed as the other tower, so that's why it's probably a mine.
Poor craftsmanship, so they converted it into a mine instead.
Cat's going to make Stony Silence, so Andrew and Responsible will go ahead and crack this star. His hand is all sorts of bad right now. Hold on, Nature's Claim, though, for the Stony.
You lied.
Well, I mean, it's still not good. I don't think he has any more lands. He does have Expedition Map, so he says go, hoping that there's not another Stony out in Cat's hand.
Right, no third land whatsoever, so it's going to take some time to cast that Thragtusk in hand.
Can Cat follow up with another Stony Silence?
Stony Silence would be great. She needs to get some pressure on otherwise. Still no creatures.
Okay, well, how about here's some pressure. Geist of St. Traft.
That's probably about best possible, shying maybe Stony Silence.
Yeah, that'll certainly play as you go back to Andrew. Cracks the map. Gonna get theirs as power plant.
You'd like to see some kind of backup for this Geist. If Cat could draw one of those sideboard disdainful strokes, that might be enough to buy the Geist alone time to win the game.
Yeah, each disdainful stroke is basically a 6-point burn spell from here.
Right. So
Andrew can play the third Tron piece. Here's his power plant. Has 2 mana. We'll see if he has a play for that. Looks like he has Karn, Wormcoil, and a bunch of green cards.
Yeah, next turn, Cat'll need something for that Wormcoil. That is a mighty fine answer to Geist of St. Traft.
Right, draws Horizon Canopy. She's got Thalia, Selfless Spirit, another Selfless Spirit. These things don't matter.
Looks like she was thinking about cracking the canopy to find something.
Well, I get it. Here's a swing for 6 from the Geist and its Angel token. Andrew to 14. She really would like to find that disdainful stroke. Well, here's Thalia, so no longer going for a disdainful stroke. Yeah, and Selfless Spirit. She'll pass. Hoping to not get land Oblivion Stoned. Well, Andrew draws the Oblivion Stone, doesn't have the land.
Given the no land, I mean, you can go for either the Wormcoil Engine or the Oblivion Stone cast this turn. You'd be in a lot of trouble if you cast the Oblivion Stone and Cat just cast Stony Silence on the following turn.
Wormcoil go. I like this play from Andrew. Once he draws another land.
I like this draw from Cat.
Does she just draw a path? That's so good.
That is huge in this situation. That will give Andrew the mana to Oblivion Stone on the following turn.
Yeah, it doesn't come without cost. However, Supreme Phantom from Cat.
Yeah, that Selfless Spirit, though, that blocks against the Oblivion Stone, so that's really not a factor on its own.
You're right. Huge draw. And Pat decks out. We're going to make her tap that extra land for it. But you're right, Andrew gets a land here. But yeah, he's also defended against Selfless Spirit. Now, there was a bunch of haymakers hanging out in Andrew's hand, and the question I'd have then is one of them Ugin?
It's pretty much going to have to be.
Yeah.
Because of that Selfless Spirit, you got to exile these creatures.
Well, and thanks to Thalia, he'd have to draw a land as well, so it's asking a lot.
Right.
Here's a swing. Geist is a 3/3. Angel makes it 7. Selfless Spirit makes it 10. And Thalia makes it 12. That sends Andrew to 2.
And we're pretty much in an Ugin or bust scenario here.
Yeah, Selfless Spirit closes off that out. So that Path to Exile, a big pickup for Cat. Helps here. Now, Andrew has Thrag Tusk. I don't believe that's enough.
Yeah, there's still just 7 coming across in the air. You need Thrag Tusk plus something.
He draws Walking Ballista. Does that work, Ryan?
It wouldn't have enough counters to take care of the Angel.
Okay. Yeah, and the Angel by itself is lethal.
Yeah, you can just make the Ballista for 4, but then just the other creatures will come across for lethal.
He can do Thrag Tusk plus Ballista for 1.
So you go up to 7. You have a blocker on the Geist and the Thalia. Meanwhile, you're taking 8 in the air. Yeah, you can shoot the No, you can't shoot any other creatures because the Supreme Phantom makes the.
You're taking 6 in the air, right? You're
taking
5 off
4/4, 3 power creature, or 1 power creature. Supreme Phantom plus Selfless Spirit is 4. Angel's another 4.
Well, he then have to shoot the Selfless Spirit with the Ballista.
Well, the Supreme Phantom turns that off. It's only on 1 counter.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, it doesn't kill it. Yeah, that doesn't work then.
I think if Cat just turns her creature sideways, this should be the game.
Draws Phantasmal Image. That
doesn't make it worse.
No, if it's not lethal already, which it is, another Supreme Phantom on. It seems like it will make it even more lethal.
Some lethals are more lethal than others.
Not all lethals are created equal. Also, another Selfless Spirit here. Yeah, she's just got a ton of great things going on. And you're just confirming that she has the win.
In spots like this, where you have lethal on the table and your opponent's just like, show me, you have to think about what could they possibly have. Tron is not a deck known for casting 0 mana spells.
It's not a deck known for having things. Just kind of. Another Selfless Spirit. So now she will not lose any attackers. And yeah, Image on Supreme Phantom. I think we'll be seeing here as well. Yep, copies Phantom. So that Phantom swings for 2. Selfless Spirit swings for 4. Angel token will make it 10. And that's 10 in the air.
Yeah, this is a situation where the conversation at the table when I'm playing the game, I'm just kind of sitting there audibly asking my opponent, aren't you dead? And then taking my time to make the actual alpha strike.
Yeah, he can wait to see if she makes the Angel token, I suppose. If she didn't make the Angel token, this isn't lethal. But she did.
Right.
So
really heads up play, remembering that trigger.
Pops the blocks and pops the Phantasmal Image.
Sure.
We're still dead, right?
Trying to get Cat to sacrifice the attacking Selfless Spirit, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and she didn't, and there's the hand extension. Cat Light takes both sideboarded games here with Bant Spirits and is your winner 2-1 over Andrew Walter.
Yeah, and then interestingly, Cat's sideboard cards weren't that impactful. We saw Stony Silence get hit by a Nature's Claim.